Money is a symbol of power, but it is not power itself. Women do not desire the symbol, they desire the source. A man may possess gold, yet if he bends his will to the world, if he apologizes for his presence, if he kneels for approval, that gold turns to dust. A woman may accept gifts from such a man, but she will never surrender her soul to him. For true desire is not born from what is given, it is awakened by what is commanded. Power is the ability to shape reality according to one's will. It is not loud, nor does it beg for recognition. It moves in silence and speaks through results. Women sense it, not in the words you speak, but in the way you look at the world, as if it is yours. The man who walks with ownership, who enters a room and does not ask for permission to exist, creates attention more valuable than diamonds. Money can impress, but power dominates. It bypasses logic and stirs something primal. Women feel it in their blood before their mind can rationalize it. Men often confuse wealth with worth. They assume the one who provides the most is the most desired, but provision without presence is servitude. If a man gives and gives, hoping to be loved, he is not a provider. He is a slave in disguise. The woman may take what is offered, but she will look past him, waiting for the one who does not need to give to feel valuable. She waits for the one who chooses when to give and when to withhold. That man, the one who understands power, gives not from desperation, but from abundance. What draws women is not luxury. It is the man who does not need luxury to assert his dominance. A man who could wear rags and still bend the room to his will holds more allure than the fool who wears jewels to be noticed. Power is internal. It is how a man handles insult, threat, challenge. Does he fold or does he rise? Does he explain himself or does he stand in silence, knowing he owes the world nothing? Women are not drawn to the man who tries to please. They are drawn to the man who must be pleased. It is a reversal of roles, a silent conquest. Even a man with little to his name, if he holds command over his mind, his body, and his world, becomes a magnet. It is not the money, it is what the money was supposed to represent: status, strength, superiority. But those things can be owned without gold. And when a woman senses that, when she sees that a man holds the reins of his life without flaunting his wealth, she is pulled into a gravity she cannot explain. She feels safe, not because he bought her protection, but because he is the protection. She feels desired, not because he needs her, but because he chooses her without dependence. A man who cannot govern himself is unfit to govern anything else. Women may smile at charm, laugh at jokes, and indulge emotional vulnerability for a moment. But what they truly respond to, what anchors their loyalty beyond reason, is a man who holds dominion over his emotions. He does not flinch at insult. He does not tremble under pressure. He does not spill his soul at the feet of anyone, no matter how beautiful, no matter how tempting. Emotional mastery is not the absence of feeling. It is the command of it. The ability to feel rage, desire, jealousy, even fear, and yet remain unmoved, unbroken, unreactive. To most men, emotions are chains. They react without thought, speak without calculation, and crumble when faced with rejection or resistance. Such men become predictable, and what is predictable is easily controlled. Women do not respect a man they can control, even if they say otherwise. Respect is born in the presence of a storm that remains still. It is when a man is pushed, tested, provoked, and yet does not lose form, that something ancient awakens within the female mind. She sees not just a man, but a force, one that cannot be swayed by beauty, nor disarmed by emotion. Weak men seek comfort in oversharing. They believe vulnerability is currency, that spilling their pain will buy affection. But women do not fall for the man who bleeds too easily. They may console him, they may even mother him, but they will never desire him. A man who collapses into emotion is a burden. A man who commands emotion is a fortress. His calm unsettles people. His stillness becomes louder than words. He becomes a mystery, and mystery is the birthplace of obsession. When a man maintains his frame, especially when provoked, he is no longer simply human. He becomes a symbol. He represents something greater: control, discipline, power. These are qualities rooted not in wealth or status, but in the mind. A woman instinctively seeks the man whose mind she cannot conquer, because in that challenge lies the thrill of submission. She wants to know that her beauty cannot rattle him, that her tears cannot manipulate him, that her absence does not break him. Only then can she trust him, because if he can rule over himself, he can rule over the world around him. The man who is stoic in chaos is not emotionally detached. He is emotionally supreme. He chooses when to feel, what to feel, and how to express it. He does not need to raise his voice to show anger. He does not need to cry to feel pain. He does not need to chase to show love. His restraint is not coldness. It is dominance. It says, "I am not controlled by this world." And that message, unspoken yet deeply felt, strikes harder than any compliment or gift. It creates tension, unpredictability, depth. It makes a woman wonder what lies beneath, and in wondering, she begins to chase. A man without a purpose is a man without gravity. He floats, drifts, and clings to pleasure like a drowning man clings to driftwood. He chases validation, comfort, and momentary highs, hoping they will fill the silence of his existence. But a man with purpose does not chase. He moves forward, unbothered by noise, untouched by distraction. His life is a campaign, his actions deliberate, his time sacred. And in this discipline, in this unrelenting direction, he becomes irresistible, not because he tries to be, but because women can feel that his soul is already owned by something greater. Women are drawn to the man who serves something beyond them. It is not the man who worships them, texts them endlessly, bends his life to accommodate their whims that captures their devotion. It is the one they must earn, the one whose eyes do not follow every curve, whose mind is not swayed by every soft word. A man consumed by a mission cannot be consumed by desire, and because he is not easily moved, he becomes the one worth moving for. His focus is magnetic. His ambition is a silent challenge that provokes admiration, envy, and desire all at once. Pleasure is cheap. It is available to all, but purpose costs. It demands sacrifice, solitude, and the willingness to be misunderstood. The man who walks this path sheds comfort like dead skin. He sleeps less, speaks less, and gives less of himself to things that do not feed his goal. He becomes scarce not because he is playing a game, but because his time is war, and this scarcity breeds value. What is rare becomes precious. What is focused becomes formidable. A woman sees that she cannot become the center of his world, and yet she wants to be. That tension creates pursuit. To build legacy, a man must be willing to forsake ease. He must be willing to outgrow the juvenile need for approval, to step beyond the applause of the crowd and walk alone. Women do not remember the man who followed them like a shadow. They remember the man who stood still when others knelt, the man who chose the path of fire over the path of comfort, because in that fire he forged identity. In that struggle, he proved he does not need a woman to feel whole, and that very wholeness becomes the foundation of attraction. A man driven by purpose does not explain himself. He does not need to validate his vision with promises or affection. He shows who he is through action, consistency, progress. His movement speaks louder than compliments. His discipline communicates more than gifts. Women sense that his life is already full, and they want to be a part of that fullness. And not because he offers it freely, but because he makes it clear. To enter his world, one must match his pace, not slow it down. He does not revolve around emotion. He is ruled by mission. Familiarity breeds contempt. and what is always available is seldom respected. A man who reveals everything, his thoughts, his intentions, his emotions, becomes ordinary in the eyes of a woman. There is no depth to explore, no mystery to unlock. Predictability is safe, but it does not inspire hunger. It is not the man who clings tightly, who overcommunicates, who declares his feelings without restraint that stirs the feminine heart. It is the one who withholds, the one who leaves a question hanging in the silence, who disappears without explanation, who looks at the world like he holds secrets no one will ever uncover. Detachment is not coldness, it is power. The man who does not chase approval, who does not need constant connection to feel secure, stands above the chaos of emotional dependency. He is not swayed by mood swings or drawn into drama. His silence is not an absence. It is a presence stronger than noise. Women are not drawn to emotional saturation. They are drawn to the void, the unknown, the thing they cannot quite grasp. When a man becomes unreadable, when his thoughts are locked behind calm eyes and disciplined words, a woman begins to imagine what cannot be seen. And in imagination, desire is born. The man who is always present, always answering, always giving, becomes dull. His attention loses value because it is no longer earned. But the man who is elusive, who appears and vanishes like a shadow, commands attention without asking for it. His absence becomes louder than another man's presence. Women begin to question, where is he? What is he thinking? Is he thinking of me? These questions are seeds of obsession. And the more a woman wonders, the more she is drawn in, pulled into a game she cannot control. When a man is detached, it does not mean he is indifferent. It means he is in control. He chooses when to engage and when to retreat. He does not reveal his entire hand at once. He understands that value lies in what is withheld, not in what is given freely. His attention is a reward, not a guarantee, and when it is given, it feels like victory. A glance from him means more than constant affection from others. A word from him carries more weight because it is rare. Scarcity creates meaning. Mystery is not something you create. It is something you maintain. You do not explain your silence. You do not justify your movements. You do not expose every thought you have. You let the unknown speak for you, and the less you reveal, the more people project. A woman will begin to assign meaning to your smallest gestures. She will analyze your pauses, your words, your distance. In that analysis, she invests emotionally. The more she invests, the deeper she falls, not into love, but into fixation. And fixation, unlike love, cannot be reasoned with or reversed. It becomes a loop, fed by your unpredictability and her need to understand what you refuse to show. Certainty is the spine of masculinity. It is not found in arrogance or noise, but in a man's unshakable belief in his direction. Women are not pulled toward indecision, hesitation, or the endless questioning of self. They are drawn to a man who moves with purpose and speaks with finality. A man who does not ask for permission, who does not look over his shoulder for approval, who stands where others stumble and commands where others beg. This certainty is not taught. It is earned through war with the self, and once earned, it radiates silently, affecting all who come near. A man who is sure of himself does not need to explain why he does what he does. His choices are statements, not negotiations. He does not float between options, nor does he seek safety in consensus. He leads, and in leading, he offers something few men can provide: security rooted not in wealth or gifts, but in the unshakable force of presence. Women do not follow the loudest man. They follow the most grounded one, the one who does not collapse under pressure, the one who knows where he's going even when the path is unclear. When a man is certain, his body speaks before his words. His eyes do not dart around the room seeking validation. His posture does not shrink to make others comfortable. He walks into a space and owns it, not through aggression, but through the quiet force of inner command. People move around him, not because he demands it, but because his energy makes room. Certainty creates gravity. It pulls without effort. Women feel this gravity and respond instinctively. They test, they provoke, they challenge, not to destroy it, but to confirm that it is real. Leadership is not about control, it's about direction. A man who says we go here, without flinching, makes decisions feel safe. Even when there's risk, his conviction turns uncertainty into confidence. A woman does not need to understand every detail of his plan. She only needs to see that he has one. Doubt makes a man weak. Over-explaining, overthinking, second, guessing. These are the cracks through which respect leaks out. A woman may comfort a man in doubt, but she will not submit to him, because to submit is to trust, and no one trusts what constantly changes its shape. Certainty is not rigidity. It is not the stubbornness of the fool who refuses to learn. It is the strength of the man who adapts without losing his center. He can change direction, but not identity. He can listen, but not bend his will to be liked. He holds his truth even when it is inconvenient, and that consistency becomes his signature. The world may shift, people may betray, emotions may rise and fall, but his essence remains. This consistency is what women seek, even if they never say it aloud. In a world of chaos, the man who is unmoved becomes the pillar they lean on, the force they orbit, the constant they crave in silence. A woman may admire wealth, enjoy luxury, and accept gifts, but what she truly responds to lies far deeper than material. It is the man who owns himself, who walks with silent power, who leads with purpose, and governs his emotions. It is the man who is mysterious, detached, unshaken by her beauty, and unafraid to lose her, because he knows he does not need her to feel complete. His value is not in what he gives, but in what he withholds. His worth is not measured by currency, but by character, and in a world where most men seek to impress, he stands alone, unbothered, unchained, unforgettable.